What's going on, everyone? I'm just a typical average American here today to react and learn about the difference between the UK's MI6 versus America's CIA, both of which are intelligence gathering agencies for our respective nations. Now, Americans, I wouldn't normally say this, but we have heard of MI6, many Americans, and that is literally, single-handedly, just thanks to James Bond movies. And I don't know if people in the UK and Great Britain have heard of the CIA, although it's something I hear so often in America, like all the time growing up, like everyone knows about it. It's hard for me to even wrap my head around that people in other places might have never heard of it. But I've heard of MI6. I pulled up like the descriptions, the Wikipedia descriptions anyway, of these two agencies. The Secret Intelligence Service, SIS, commonly known as MI6. I actually didn't know it was called the SIS. Actually, I didn't know that. Military intelligence. It's the Foreign Intelligence Service of the UK, tasked with the covert overseas collection and analysis of human intelligence in support of the UK's national security. Sounds an awful lot like the definition we would give the CIA in America, to be honest. The CIA, Central Intelligence Agency, known informally as the agency. No, not really. I would not say that. And historically as the company? Okay, I've never heard that one either. CIA. It is a civilian foreign intelligence service of the federal government of the United States. Gathers, processing, analyzing national security information. Yeah, so we have this little video here. MI6 versus the CIA. What's the difference? This seems extraordinarily interesting to me. Not just because I don't know the first thing about MI6 and UK, like, intelligence collection agencies, but comparing the two should be particularly interesting. So let's take a look.
Let's start with looking at the CIA, an organization you might already know something about if you watched our show FBI vs. CIA. The Central Intelligence Agency was created in the interest of the USA's national security. This might well indeed mean spying on other countries, or even keeping tabs on US citizens, although how much that actually happens is a matter of debate.
Ah, yes. And also, I imagine countries all over the planet have their own intelligence agencies, although I don't know what they're called, but I have heard of MI6.
The agency is involved with terrorism, weapons of mass destruction, cyber intelligence, and generally keeping an eye on what is happening politically around the world and trying to ensure it doesn't negatively affect America. The CIA was created on July 26, 1947, when Harry S. Truman signed off on the National Security Act.
1947. That's not that incredibly long ago, honestly. I'm actually a little bit surprised. Man, the years are going by quick. It's gonna be almost 100 years, and we got 20-ish more years left, actually.
It was the attack on Pearl Harbor that proved to be the greatest impetus to start such a covert agency. After that, the CIA...
it was the attacks on Pearl Harbor that even prompted... Yeah, it seems like... Well, it is sad that that kind of thing is what prompted the creation of it, but it seems like these days, every nation on the planet has intelligence agencies going out there trying to learn stuff about what's going on in the world secretly.
had a hand in many countries' affairs. It was working underground in Jamaica in the 70s, and no, there's no proof the CIA killed Bob Marley, fixing coup d'etats in Iran and Indonesia, and generally making sure communism didn't pick up too much traction as it was a threat to global democracy and America's dominance.
That's definitely something in America, there's lots of conspiracy theories about things the CIA has done over the years that we'll never know about. I didn't know they might have killed Bob Marley or anything like that. Usually they're hiding aliens from us or something.
That's quite the position the CIA holds in the world, and judging by many of your comments on our last show featuring the agency, many of you believe the CIA is slightly lacking in ethics. Well, what about the UK's covert agency?
Ethics, yeah, a lot of Americans also like don't like that the CIA has sort of admitted to like analyzing and surveying the American people like themselves, not just external intelligence collecting, which can be perceived as shady, to say the least. But let's hear about MI6.
Is it any better? We should also explain ethics. Well, what about the UK's covert agency? Is it any better? We should also explain that MI5 works in the UK catching foreign spies, while MI6 is basically UK spies abroad. MI6, or the Secret Intelligence Service, has a similar function to the CIA in that its raison d'etre is protecting the UK's national security. According
Right.
to its own website, in the early 1900s, the British government was increasingly concerned about the threat to its empire posed by Germany's imperial ambitions. The Brits also wanted to hold on to their global dominance and wealth, so they needed to keep the Germans from becoming too powerful.
It's fascinating hearing about like what kind of inspired the creation of these agencies. For both the CIA and MI6, it was just like super bad world events happening.
It was believed at the time that Germany had its own spies wandering around the streets of England, so in 1909, Prime Minister Herbert Asquith created the Secret Service Bureau. As you saw already, it wasn't only Germany that worried the UK, but also the Soviet Union and its communist ambitions. That's why the Bureau's best spy met the Grim Reaper in the face of the trigger-happy master of pogroms, Joseph Stalin. Is it always the
Wait. Who? What? Who met their end? What?
UK, but also the Soviet Union and its communist ambitions? That's why the Bureau's best spy met the Grim Reaper in the face of the trigger-happy master of pogroms, Joseph Stalin. Is it always the
Wait, like, what? I wish they'd explain more about that. The MI6's best agent met their demise to Joseph Stalin? Or I don't know anything about that story. I want to hear that story. What?
the good in the battle of good versus evil? Well, like the CIA, its operations at times could be said to be dubious. Some of the more famous operations actually include trying to find out who in Britain was working for the Russians. It would be revealed that MI6 agents were actually passing secrets to Russia, and even two politicians were found to be working for the KGB. Cleaning house, as you might have seen in the movie Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy, was a big part of the Bureau's job. On the other hand,
Wow. Yeah, I mean, that's just like what happens in America that people get concerned about. Having to basically collect intelligence on your own, stuff happening in your own country, which has like a good motivation behind it, I guess, but also gets real shady to normal people real quick.
and MI6 actually worked with the Nazi secret police, the Gestapo, to thwart the rise of communism. The Bureau might be most famous for its cryptanalysis, which was breaking codes using cryptographic algorithms. MI6 was verily the first computer hacker on a large scale, creating the foundations for modern computing. Later, MI6 had its hands full with the IRA, and throughout the 70s,
That makes MI6 sound like it pioneered a lot of the technology, like exploding pens and cars that can become boats, James Bond stuff.
and throughout the 70s and 80s concentrated on international terrorism. Its intelligence wasn't always that intelligent, which was demonstrated when it told the world there were weapons of mass destruction in Iraq. One of the latest programs of MI6 is to spy on North Korea. Back to the CIA.
Oh.
The agency has its headquarters in Langley, Virginia, but its secret agents work all over the world. It has a
Yeah.
number of regular workers, of course, and many of those can be found in Washington, D.C. It's thought the agency employs around 21,575 people.
What? Oh my gosh, that is like a massive corporation almost. Like, if there was a business that employed 20,000 people, that would be enormous. The CIA is enormous. What?
According to Statistica, the CIA budget for 2017 was approximately $13 billion.
Oh
This
my
is only
gosh.
one part of the USA's black budget, a kind of secret budget that was revealed when Edward Snowden released those files. It's thought the black budget is well over $50 billion. MI6 is based
Oh my gosh, yeah. That's another thing that Americans get upset about, how much spending we do on military operations and stuff. Instead of paying our teachers a better living wage or helping the poor, we're spending more on spies. And apparently there's hidden budgets I didn't even know about. $50 billion. I wonder how MI6 compares to all that. The number of employees, 20,000, my God. And the budget.
Based in London, and it too has agents all over the globe. It's much smaller than the CIA, employing around 2,479 people.
What? Huh? Why can MI6 be 1/10 of the employees? It kind of makes me feel like having 20,000 people, an army of people in the CIA. Is that totally necessary?
It's thought that MI6's budget is around $3.5 billion.
Okay,
so,
it's a lot.
how do you get into the CIA? As we said in our other show, you can do all sorts of things in the CIA, but let's focus on agents rather than accountants.
Okay.
Most of its undercover employees are aged between 26 and 35.
Oh, right. So, of those 20,000 people working in the CIA, lots of them are like accountants or like have desk jobs and computer jobs. They're not all agents. That makes sense. Okay, so how do you become an agent? A secret agent in the CIA?
On agents rather than accountants. Most of its undercover employees are aged between 26 and 35. They all go through medical and background checks, not to mention polygraphs, which are also a part of the interview process. They need a university degree, knowledge of international affairs, and good foreign language skills. Other assets include strong negotiation skills, discretion, diplomacy, and criminal investigative experience.
Right.
Ideally, your degree will be in criminology, homeland security, or emergency management. All present agents have undergone a 56-day criminal investigation training program, and they will have trained for a further 18 months at the CIA's headquarters.
Oh my gosh. Well, I'm not surprised that it's very, 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 very specific people who actually become, if you want to call them agents, secret agents at the CIA, they're going to want very particular set of skills.
On the CIA website, it doesn't say that agents are required to do any kind of physical test, but it does say they must be in excellent physical and psychological health.
Excellent.
To become an intelligence agent for MI6, you'll need to be at least 22. You need a university degree, but any major, it seems, will do. You then have to take a 6-week foundation investigative training course, and after that, you'll be training for 2 years before you become a proper agent.
A 6-week course. It's funny how these agencies have like actual like school. You go to secret agent school for like a few weeks in both of these, and then you got to train like for a year. So yeah, I mean, this I'm okay about. It should be very difficult to become like a secret agent.
On its website, MI6 explains that you'll go through thorough background checks, medical tests, and if you've taken any illegal drugs, you're gone. The interview and screening is stressful, they point out, stating it's a long process, up to 3 months in most cases, and it takes a very fair, in-depth, and pretty intrusive look at your life, including your finances. It's important to be aware of this commitment before you apply. You are also supposed to say nothing to anyone about your application, as the Bureau pretty much picks apart your life. At time of writing, there were over 20 jobs available in MI6, but only one position was for intelligence officer. So,
Intelligence officer, that's what it's called, okay.
what's it like to be a CIA agent? It can be lonely, as we pointed out before, if you go deep undercover. You can't tell anyone what you do exactly, and you will even keep secrets from your own family.
I was gonna say, like, you'd think you can tell your wife and kids what you do for a living. I'd understand if you can't talk about what specifically you are learning or collecting information, but surely you can tell them like where you work or like it just feels like a whole can of worms if you can't tell your spouse like and be honest about where you work.
On the CIA website, it gives 10 reasons why you should work there, which includes working with very smart people, having an exciting job, being at the forefront of global politics,
having an exciting job. That is an official perk of working for the CIA on their own website. Having an exciting job opportunities.
and also receiving great benefits. According to one salary website, new agents receive about $47,000, but a senior agent might earn more than $130,000.
Wow, that's another thing I was wondering about, how much the agents are paid. I mean, I guess it depends on if your life is in danger and stuff, and what kind of information you're being trusted with. $130,000. That's obviously well above average. I wouldn't be surprised if it's even higher for even more important agents or what have you. I wonder how this compares to MI6.
$1,000 a year. One CIA agent of 15 years said he loved the job at times, telling Business Insider, "A lot of the fieldwork provided incredible moments both in terms of personal satisfaction in my work and in awe at catching a glimpse of the breadth of diversity in this world." He
Yeah.
also said it's nothing like Hollywood depicts.
I gotta admit, it sounds like a very exciting life. Like, literally working for the CIA or MI6. Like, that's your job. And being like like an agent, or I guess you can be the bank accountant, and that, good for you as well. But that would seriously, like, you'd go to work every day and be like, dang, this is intense. Never boring.
Former MI6 intelligence officer Harry Ferguson told The Guardian what it was like working for the organization. He actually said it did all start a little like a movie, with someone approaching him while he was a student at Oxford and asking quietly, "Have you ever thought of working for your country?" After he nodded, he later received an anonymous envelope containing a description of where to go for an interview. He said they are looking for
A blank envelope telling you just to go to this vague place in the middle of nowhere. It is like the movies.
independent, self-driven people, because once you land the job, he says it can be very lonely. It's not necessarily as dangerous as people think, and it can be mundane, but the biggest downside is knowing someone else was imprisoned, tortured, or killed because you didn't do your job properly.
Ooh, yeah, they're right. Like, I bet in real life it is not like Jason Bourne or 007. It's not always exciting or fighting or anything like that. It's mostly just probably going places, being very, very, very patient, waiting, watching, observing. So kind of boring in comparison to the movies, but still like probably very exciting at the same time, even though it's not quite the same.
That can be quite a terrible burden. He also said the CIA is more dangerous as their officers are semi-military. MI6 officers basically spend most of their time trying to recruit people to give them information, so they mostly stay away from danger.
Oh, that's an interesting difference. Of course, you can count on the American agents to be violent, trained in the military, half military or part military. That does not surprise me.
Danger. For that kind of risk, you'll start on a salary of $40,000 US. This will go up after around 5 years service to $53,000. The more senior you become, obviously, the more you get. A lot of you.
Okay, so that's MI6? 40,000 and 53,000? Is that a lot lower just because it's not like so much military involvement? Is that what that is?
To $53,000. The more senior you become, obviously, the more you get. A lot of you are always asking us how we make our videos. It's actually no secret that we learned how to use Adobe After Effects and Illustrator by watching videos.
Oh, what is this? I think this is an ad. Wait, this is just an ad. Okay. I thought that was like the MI6 compared to the CIA video editing. No. That's it. That's the end. I like this. This was very good. Not surprising. It is by the Infographics Show, and I like this. I like this a lot. I'm just honestly learned a lot about MI6, but also like the main takeaway was it's not quite as exciting probably working for these agencies as you might think, but I also feel like we don't know for sure. I feel like you gotta be a CIA or MI6 agent to actually ever know how exciting this stuff is and what exactly you're doing. But this was a neat little comparison. There was a lot of similarities, I think. A lot. Very interesting. Anyway, if you enjoyed this video, if you enjoyed this reaction, feel free to give it a like or leave a comment. And if you're interested in more videos like this, me reacting to the UK culture, stuff in the UK I've never seen, feel free to subscribe for more. And until then, thanks for watching, and see you next time.